Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. I do a lot of Kickstarter watch reviews on the channel, and there are some very good reasons for that. I find that a lot of the most interesting and innovative micro brands are continuing and even increasingly using the platform to launch new models, and I've reviewed some cracking watches on Kickstarter over the last couple of months. Perhaps you remember the Ventus North Star. They successfully funded over 200,000 Singapore dollars with over 600 units pre-ordered. Or what about the Hampton H2, aka the Kraken? Over 1,300 units pre-ordered with well over $500,000 US raised. Now Kickstarter takes a small percentage, they take their cut, but the majority of that money will go straight to the micro brand, allowing them to continue with production with the confidence that they've sold the vast majority, if not all, of the watches that they are pre-ordering. And for the consumers, you get to take advantage of some fantastic early bird deals if you're prepared to back a project early and wait a couple of months for your watch to be delivered. Today, the Carpathia Ascent should have been a Kickstarter review, but unfortunately, thanks to the United States Postal Service, this one got stuck in customs for a couple of weeks and it arrived down here in Sydney, unfortunately, after the campaign had ended. However, that doesn't mean to say that you cannot buy this Chicago-inspired Art Deco with a little bit of Poland in their watch. Admittedly though, the prices have gone up since the Kickstarter campaign finished. So the question today is, you can still buy the Carpathia Ascent, but should you? Let's flip the camera and find out. So the Ascent by Carpathia watches then. Perhaps there'll be a few of you getting a feeling of deja vu when I open this package. Certainly I got a bit of a feeling of deja vu when I opened it for the first time myself. I remember first spotting this watch on YouTube over 2 years ago. I remember Adam from Clock Stock and Properly Wound 1010 Talk, you know the channel I mean. He reviewed this one in February 2017, and in fact I think he reviewed this very prototype. There's some scratches on the case back that look remarkably similar to the watch that he reviewed. I'll leave one of those links up in the top corner, you can check it out for yourself. So it looks like this one has taken its sweet time getting up and running, but delighted for Carpathia watches, they have been successful. They have funded this one on Kickstarter recently. So is it a case of better late than never then, or is there a reason why this one took its sweet time over 2 years going from prototype to reality? I'll be honest with you, as I was honest with Mark from Carpathia Watches, I said to him that there would be some positives and some negatives in this review, and he said no problem, he was happy for me to proceed on that basis. So I'm going to start with the positives, and then I'm going to move on to some elements of this watch that I don't find as appealing as some others. Well, the box is alright for a start. Yeah, faux burr walnut, it's made of plastic, but it's pretty good looking, and I do like their Stork in Flight logo. So dimension wise, 42mm in diameter, just over 11mm thick, so nice and slim. Lug to lug of bang on 50mm, 22mm lug width, and on this supplied leather strap, the watch weighs in at about 75 grams, so not a lot of weight to it, pretty much what you'd expect for a kind of dressier style piece on a leather strap. Now we do have a stainless steel case, crown and case back. Two-piece case design, which I will talk about later on. Variety of different finishes on offer. This one is IP coated with a kind of rose gold colour, matching the rose gold indices. Well, not quite matching the rose gold indices. Kind of gold case and rose gold on the dial. The buckle on the strap is also matched to the case. Nice kind of brush finish there. It is all brushed, no polished surfaces on this one because it is coated and then brushed to a finish. We've got a kind of onion style crown there, little crown with the Carpathia logo on it, that flying stork again. This watch comes with a domed sapphire crystal with claimed AR coating. This is a prototype. I'm not sure how much AR they put on the prototype, but the finished production models will definitely have some AR. So zoomed in on the dial, you can see the applied indices, Carpathia logo, and aerobics at 2, 4, 6, 8 and 10. Now Chicago is important in this instance. Carpathia are based in Chicago, and apparently the watch takes some of its styling cues from some of the Art Deco architecture that is to be found around the city of Chicago. However, the numerals 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, they're not necessarily cliched Art Deco. You wouldn't necessarily think Deco the first time you saw them. Arrowheads all the way around the hours, and we've got a printed on minute track all the way around the outside, which actually has some lume on it. Now I'll put the lume video up early. There's a whiff of lume on those minute markers around the outside, and we've got some lume on the hands. I'm guessing again that for production models this will be improved. Looks like C3 Super Luminova to my eyes anyway, in that bright green colour. And we've got a prominent Carpathia logo there underneath the 12, once again the flying stork and that quite stylised script. Now Swiss movement is printed above the 6. This has a Swiss movement, it's an ETA 2824, I'll show you in a second. Apparently though, these are now being assembled in Switzerland. Again, I reckon this proto is 2 years old. I would imagine that for finished models they will say Swiss made rather than Swiss movement. I see no reason why they would sell themselves short rather than advertising the full manufacture in Switzerland. And the handset is pretty simple. Little bevel in the middle of the hour and minute hands, but they are rather small. Probably the most interested from the second hand, we've got a lollipop counterbalance, and we've got that arrowhead pointer pushing all the way out to the minute track. Now flipping the watch over to show you the movement contained within the case back, that Swiss movement as advertised on the front. Established 2016, 5 atmospheres of water resistance. The first 200 I believe will all be numbered, which is nice. Swiss movement and Carpathia Watch Company. Now the movement is an ETA 2824, but it is an elaborate grade, so it's not the basic grade, it's the next one up, and it does have the top level of finishing that elaborate grade is available in. That includes extensive perlage, and hopefully you can see, yes there you can, blue screws. There is also some Geneva striping on that custom Carpathia rotor. Let's pop this bad boy on the time grapher, shall we? So there is the watch in the time grapher, and if I refocus, there are the watch's statistics. Not doing too badly for itself, as you can see. So 28,800 vibrations per hour, this is a high beat movement. 25 joules hacks hand winds, roughly 40 hour power reserve. Beat error marginal, this one, the lift angle is 53 degrees, so I have read the instructions, some of the instructions on how to work this thing. I've only had it a week or so, and the rate there, bang on, 0 seconds per day. So not cheap, these Carpathias. They're coming in at $650 US plus, depending on which finish you go for, but you are getting a very nicely decorated and so far bloody accurate movement for your cash, so you can't complain about that. And the case design is very nice indeed, super smooth. 2 pieces as noted, so normally you get a bezel. Even if it's a smooth bezel, there's usually a top piece with the glass inserted into it, a mid case and a case back, whereas here you've just got that stainless steel case back and then this gold IP coated stainless steel upper case, so 2 pieces rather than 3. Very smooth indeed, and a little point of difference that you don't often see in watches. The supplied strap is a pretty good one, genuine leather, stitched at the top there to keep it nice and secure, genuine leather underneath. Not the most interesting one I've seen, but it does look like it'll wear well and it is quite comfortable on wrist, and as discussed there, little colour matched and embossed logo on the buckle. And there is the watch sitting on top of my 7-inch wrist. Strong blue sunburst effect on that dial. Now it is the largest style of dress watch, 50mm lug tip to lug tip, 42mm in diameter, kind of like Orient Bambino size, if perhaps you have heard of the Orient Bambino in your travels through YouTube. And there we are, that's the watch. Zoomed out for a little bit more perspective, you can see what it looks like from a distance. Definitely eye-catching, that rich deep blue. And that's the watch outside. As noted, I'm not sure how much AR coating they managed to put on this prototype, because you can quite clearly see yours truly in my bright green Boston t-shirt reflected off the dial. But it looks good out in natural light. As noted, it's quite a pronounced sunburst effect on the dial. You know, you get different levels of sunburst. Some are barely noticeable, whereas others really pop, and this is definitely a popper. That's it on my wrist. As discussed, it's a larger size, but it still carries its size pretty well. Doesn't weigh a lot at 75 grams either. So some positives so far then. A very interesting and slightly unusual case design. You really don't see this two-piece case design all that often. And if you like sunburst, well then you're going to like this one, because there is a rather noticeable sunburst effect on the dial, and a bloody accurate and good looking Swiss movement. Again, a cut above the usual. You don't normally see these elaborate grade, nicely decorated movements in watches underneath a grand. But as noted, I've got a few moans and niggles with this one. I just don't feel that the overall design is particularly resolved. Maybe those deco Arabics are a little bit too small and perhaps not deco enough to make the whole design cohesive. And the date window, that is pretty brutal stuff there. They've just punched a big hole where it needs to be in the movement with a white date wheel. This design would look so much cleaner, in my humble opinion, if it didn't have a date at all. It really rather kind of shatters the symmetry for a start, and it really kind of shatters the overall look of the watch for me, I'm afraid. And 42 mil, you know, we've had this discussion when we've been talking about the Orient Bambino. 42 mil is going to suit a lot of guys. They're going to be happy that this is slightly larger. However, I think with this two-piece case design rather, it would have looked much neater in 38 mil. 38 mil was one of the stretch goals of their campaign. Unfortunately, they did not meet the target required to implement that stretch goal, so we won't be seeing a 38 mil Carpathia Ascent anytime soon, which is a shame, because I think that would have been the model to go for. And I think that some of the colorways are more successful than others. Not all that keen on the one that I got in for review, kind of odd mixture of gold, rose gold and blue, especially with a black strap. It could have done with a blue or even a brown strap there, which you can pick, by the way. You get the choice of color at checkout. I think the more successful ones are the chrome one and the black and gold one. I think those two designs are pretty good looking. Not sure about the black IP one. I don't think that goes with the look at all, or the one that I received for review. So 2 hits, 2 misses in terms of the colorways, again only in my opinion. And these lovely smooth lugs, they're lovely and smooth on the top. They are bloody sharp on the edges. Really pointy, and if you're not careful, you're going to end up scratching yourself or scratching something on those. I think this is only the 3rd watch that I've called out for having this particular facet, these super sharp and pointy lugs. Nothing quite shatters the illusion of luxury like a sharp pointy surface on a watch. Really not what we're into. So some positives and some negatives today then. I'm delighted for Mark and the team at Carpathia that they finally got this one off the ground. Perhaps now they will gather some momentum as a company, and they may go on to create a 38 mil or a dateless version, or iron out a few of those sharp edges that I have observed around the case, or perhaps not. $675 US for this particular model. I guess that's not bad for a Swiss watch with an upgraded ETA 2824 in it. Is it worth the difference over a Bambino? Would you take a Bambino in $500 or one of these? Well, that is a hard question, and one which I'm going to leave you guys to answer today. So there you have it, the Carpathia Ascent then. Perhaps this one looked better at the Kickstarter pricing than it does now, but don't they all? I only wish they made a 38mm version of this. The bezel-less case is just perfectly suited to a smaller size, and when they're at it, please delete the date. Thanks for watching, see you in the next one.